How important is it to you that MJ isn't just a traditional damsel in distress or love interest?
It's extremely important, you know. I think having female characters that are in control of their own destiny and their own narrative and really have their own story and arc and positioning and, you know, control, I think is really important and special. I think I got pretty lucky because we have a great director who, from the beginning, I think wanted to make sure that MJ had her own agency and really was like her own distinct character on her own, you know? And it's been really fun to kind of watch her grow, you know. From the first movie, she's like a very guarded, wouldn't really let anyone in, and kind of came off as snarky, but was just a very honest and upfront kind of person. And then over time, as we've kind of got to watch their romance blossom a little bit with her and Peter, she kind of was able to open up, and, you know, we start to see more and more layers of who she is as a person and different sides to her, and she's not just there to be saved every 5 seconds, you know. She's actually helping, I think, keep everyone together in a time that feels really, really out of control.
Yeah, I think she's quite a grounding character, as you said, for the group. Obviously, Ned and Peter kind of rely on her sarcastic charm a bit for the group. What is a feminist, and are you a feminist?
I think a feminist is someone who, like, believes in the power of a woman the same way they believe in the power of anyone else. And I definitely would consider myself a feminist, but I would consider myself an intersectional feminist, meaning you can't pick and choose which kind of women or types of women or from which backgrounds you choose to support. If you're going to choose to support women, you have to. That includes all women. So I think it's important to keep that in mind when you choose to call yourself a feminist. You know, you have to look out for everyone.
You're a role model for so many young girls out there like me. Who inspires you?
Oh man, I mean, honestly, I would say I'm heavily inspired by the women in my family. So whether that be my mom or my sisters, even my little nieces, all my grandmothers, all just kind of, I've learned so much from just the way they move through life and handle themselves and carry themselves. I would also say I think I get a lot of inspiration, I think, just from other young women like yourself, you know.
Thank you.
You doing this interview, I mean, you know, it's like could be a very nerve-wracking thing, and you're doing it so well with such confidence and grace, and like, that's not easy. So congratulations, and continue to like do, you know, things that may feel a little bit scary, but like, you know, every time you try and every time you do it, you know, you're inspiring someone else to do the same. So I think that to me is inspiring and exciting. So comes from everywhere.
Yeah, I think that's really important, to look at women in your family as well, especially people who raised you, and kind of take by example. At one point in the film, MJ says, "Expect disappointment and you'll never be disappointed." Why do you think she feels like this, and does this resonate with you?
Right. Well, I think, you know, although we don't necessarily get too deep into it in these movies, I do think, you know, I've kind of like created, you know, or thought more so with John about maybe what her backstory might be, you know. And also thinking about, like, I guess her comic book, what in the comics was her backstory, and it seems she had a tough go and like has had, you know, quite a difficult home life. So this idea that she has a negative outlook on life has kind of just been a protection mechanism, right? Like glass half empty, and that way she can't ever feel hurt, because she's like, you know, if I expect bad things to happen, then when they do happen, I won't be as upset, right? And I think that's just her way of protecting herself and surviving, which I think a lot of us do. Like, we're all human and we're all just trying to like survive and get through it and figure out the best way to, again, protect ourselves from pain or hurt. And I think that I have my own ways of doing that, of coping and trying to figure out how to like deal with things. And I've definitely at some points in my life been like glass half empty kind of person. I'm like, you know, I'm I'm a realist, you know. If things go wrong, it's like, well, if you expect it to go wrong, then then you won't be so upset about it. But I'm definitely learning as I get older to be a little bit more optimistic, which I think is something MJ's trying to figure out too.
I think MJ's character is really developing and becoming more optimistic with the influence of Peter and Ned, and I think it's really important for her character to have that kind of support.
Yeah, I would agree.
What advice would you give younger women who want to go into filmmaking?
That's a great question. I would say, not to say like, but just don't take no for an answer. You know, I think people kind of want to put limits on what they think you're capable of or what you can do, and I think the best thing is to just work hard and prove them wrong every time. You know, and don't take no for an answer. If someone's like, this probably won't happen for you, just wait and watch me do it, you know. So just keep going, and I think that although maybe sometimes that's easier said than done, because I think at the time it feels a little bit like, I don't know if I can do this, you know. I think we all question ourselves, but just know that you got it.
Yeah, I think that's quite important. If you could use one of Doctor Strange's spells to change something in your life, what would it be?
I don't know if I would change anything. I think if anything there is to learn from this film, it's to not tamper with the past or time, or, you know, just if there's a mistake that happens, try your best to learn from it and grow from it. And instead of looking at like maybe a failure, look at it as a lesson. And again, much easier said than done, but I've had my fair share of things that felt like at the time I had so many expectations of what I wanted it to be, and because it wasn't perfect or wasn't everything I hoped of, I looked at it as a failure, when in actuality I'm really grateful that I went through those things, because I wouldn't know how to do it properly when the right time, the right thing came along, you know? So if you can try your best to look at things like that as a lesson and go, okay, how am I gonna be better or do better from this experience? Then you're set, you know? Then you're good to go, because like you're constantly just getting better, right? Like every challenge, every problem just makes your brain sharper. It makes you figure it out a little bit quicker. So I don't think I would get rid of anything, because I would need all those things in order to know what not to do. So I would keep the memories and learn from Peter's mistakes.
It's been so awesome talking to you.
Well, thank you so much, and I appreciate your time. You did a wonderful job.
Oh, thank you.